7 years after the Civil War, the first Bishop of Providence, Rhode Island, asked the Reverend Francis J. Quinn, curate at St. Mary's Church in Fall River, to begin a new parish. Reverend Quinn didn't get very far. At the corner of Pine and Linden Street, he stopped and planted a seed. Welcome to Sacred Heart. The building was completed within 10 years, but that interior is not the interior that we have today. 30 years after its formal dedication, Bishop Daniel F. Feehan of the Diocese of Fall River rededicated Sacred Heart Church. 9 years later, Sacred Heart Church was solemnly consecrated. It is this consecrated house of prayer that continues to offer praise and thanksgiving to our Heavenly Father that you see before you.
I've been coming here as long as I can remember.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
It's a very beautiful church.
Beautiful in terms of its architecture and the history with the windows. You can't get this. You can't create this now.
The architecture, the stained glass windows, everything about it, it's beautiful. I mean, they don't make churches like this anymore.
Let us put the just one to the test, that we may have proof.
It would be a shame to lose something like this.
There is a history behind everything, from the Stations of the Cross to the stained glass windows. There are stories to tell.
Like most churches, the interior of Sacred Heart also serves to tell a story. In the Tiffany-style windows, you will notice that Jesus in every picture is barefoot. This is to symbolize that he has come as servant. In the last window, the Pentecost window, you will notice that all depicted in the window are now barefoot. The mission of the church is to become servant.
I enjoy coming to church. I've been coming here, I've been altar servant for, it's kind of tough to put a number down, I think 12 or 13 years straight.
I do a lot of the maintenance work, like I clean up the church, I help out the soup kitchen, and all the good stuff.
When I'm here at church, I'm just here. There's nothing else at that time.
This place is a sanctuary. It's a sanctuary of loving people. There's a whole feeling of spirituality about it. I just feel very comfortable here.
My dad said whenever you go to a baseball game, you always want to sit in the front. So when I'm at church, I sit in the front.
I think what really impressed, certainly me, is Father, the way he, sometimes during his sermons, explains the architecture.
The priest does a lot of good things for the church.
Father's masses are very beautiful. The liturgies are outstanding.
Faith comes from God, to serve God, to love God. That love of God that is faith is demonstrated in the real world by how willing we are to serve the needs of our brothers and sisters.
I went back into the service in 2005 with the U.S. Army. I deployed to Iraq in 2006. I believe just before Christmas 2006, I received 4 large packages from the church, and I shared all those gifts with all the personnel in the same platoon that I was in, and I was very, very grateful. It's nice to come to a church that definitely did so much for me.
Sacred Heart, in addition to being probably one of the most beautiful pieces of architecture in the city or in the region, it means a lot about community.
We have a little Bible group that we're doing now. We're struggling with St. Paul. He's hard. He's tough. He's a tough guy.
I hope that that my kids can grow up to see what the church has to offer, and that it's very important to come to Mass every week, and that they can continue to do that with their own kids in the future.
I enjoy coming here. I wouldn't want to go anywhere else.
Come down one Sunday and see what we've got to offer. See what Father has to offer from the altar, and watch how nice the Mass is.
Our special effort here at Sacred Heart is we have a saying that, whom do we serve? We serve Christ. And on Monday evenings, we're serving all of God's people who come to our doors for a full meal. It takes the work of many people. We have a kitchen crew, and we have a dining room crew and a cleanup crew.
We have a core group of volunteers who are here every week, and that's from young to old.
We socialize, we chat with each other, and we have a good time doing it.
Usually everyone has a job.
We cut the cakes and put them on trays and get them ready to be served after the dinner.
There are servers, there are pourers. There's several people who work in the kitchen cooking, and we do good work, and the people appreciate it.
The people are welcomed, no questions asked. Their children, families, elderly, handicapped, and they're all welcome here at Sacred Heart. They're our guests.
How are we able to do it? Only by the grace of God. Anyone who comes through the Pine Street door will be given a meal, because the person who comes through the door is Christ.
Our numbers are growing, and there are many nights when we're full or over full. Our priest always says we serve Christ.
I feel good just driving in here, even though I'm not a very good driver.
After the meal is served, winter clothes are available to any who might need them.
Even though this is the church and a soup kitchen, we try to set it up so that it's like a department store, so that they feel comfortable coming here, and they're worth, they're worth it, because they're needy and they need clothes. And there are people that are with families that have little children, but here everything is like sectioned off and where it's supposed to be. So if they come with a child, a little boy, and I know what size they're, I go right to it and I give it to them.
Shortly after the soup kitchen opened, there was another need to open the parish pantry.
Our food pantry is very different than any other food pantry, as you can see in all of Fall River.
Our guests can come through and choose the food from what we have to offer.
It's set up like a supermarket where the guests come in through the door and they can choose a pasta and a potato, 2 vegetables, a soup.
Our volunteers in the pantry serve to keep the shelves stocked and to hand these food items to our guests, always with a smile and with kindness, because Christ comes through the line.
The first food pantry, maybe 50 people came through, and tonight I suspect probably 160 people will come through. We are totally run on donations. It must be very difficult for them to walk through that door. Tomorrow I could be out of a job and it could be me that be walking through that door, and I would want to be treated with dignity and respect, and that's what we do here.
There you go.
Thank you.
Very well.
The seed that was planted 140 years ago is still growing. It has become our story, and our story is the gospel story. There may be times when we fall short, but we are falling in the right direction, forward. We get up with new courage, new strength, new resolve. Welcome to Sacred Heart. Let us keep growing and discovering the Christ who lives in the world.